Okay, I think people are still going to be rolling in, but we'll go ahead and start. I call this meeting to order at 3:03 p.m. We will begin this meeting with a roll call. When your name is called, please say present. Board Commissioner Park, may you please take roll call?
President Jeremiah Finley.
Present.
Thank you. Administrative Vice President David Lopez.
Present.
Legislative Vice President Mayuli Cuellar.
Present.
Student Affairs Vice President Jordan Lamar.
Present.
Social Justice and Equity Officer Roman Sotomayor. I see.
Present.
College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences Representative Angelica Alvarez.
Present.
And at-large Representative Montel Floyd.
Present.
There he is. Executive Director Janessa Lund.
Present.
And Dean of Students, our stateside advisor, Dr. Ebony Turnbow.
Present.
Okay, you have complete presence and have a quorum.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Casey. I encourage that both our board members and audience members take a moment to write their personal pronouns next to their name here on Zoom. By clicking the three dots that appear when you hover over your image, you should see a rename option. Thank you. We will now move on to the approval of the agenda. This is an action item, and so a vote will be taking place. I would now like to ask if there is a motion on the floor.
I motion to amend the agenda to include piece of legislation, an act to update the fiscal code to the meeting dated June 5th, 2020.
Thank you, President Finley. There is now a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to include the legislation titled an act to update the fiscal code. Is there a second to that amendment?
Can I get a point of clarification to where it will be added to the agenda before a second?
Under new business, under the last item, I think it's item, so it'll be item C.
Thank you.
I would now like to once again ask if there is a motion on the floor. A second. I apologize about that. Was that Vice President Lopez?
Yes.
Okay. So President Finley has motioned to amend the agenda to include the legislation titled an act to update the fiscal code, which will be in our new business as item C. And Vice President Lopez was the second to that motion. Is there any debate to this amendment? Please raise your hand if you would like to be added to a speakers list. Seeing none, we will now move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to this amendment to the agenda? Please use the buttons found in the participants list. A red no would be a nay, and raising your hand would be an abstention. Seeing none, the ayes have it, the agenda is amended. I would now like to ask if there is a motion on the floor to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Was that Vice President Lopez?
Yes.
Vice President Lopez has motioned to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Could you clarify, Casey, who made the second?
It was Roman.
Vice President Lopez made the motion to approve the agenda, and Officer Sotomayor has seconded the motion. We will now move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to the agenda being approved? Seeing none, the ayes have it, the agenda is approved. We will now move on to the approval of the meeting minutes for both meeting number 18 of the previous board that met on May 8th, 2020, and meeting number 1 for this board that was also held on May 8th, 2020. This is an action item, and so a vote will be taking place. I would now like to ask if there is a motion on the floor.
A motion to approve the minutes dated May 8th, 2020, number 18 and number 1.
President Finley has motioned to approve the meeting minutes, both dated May 8th, 2020, number 18 and number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second from Vice President Lopez. We will now move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to approving the meeting minutes? Seeing none, the ayes have it. The meeting minutes are approved. We will now move on to the chair's report. First, I'd like to say hello to everyone. I welcome you all into this virtual space here today. I'm so happy to see that we have so many participants today. And I'm really looking forward to our upcoming summer meetings, and so I hope that you will all be able to join us for those as well. I will now take a moment to share the Zoom features. Please remember to mute yourself until you are recognized by the chair. If you wish to make a motion, second a motion, or talk during debate, please use the hand raise feature of Zoom, which can be found in the participants list. This will notify me that you wish to speak, and I will be able to call upon you. When we are not taking a roll call vote, please utilize the buttons found in the participants list. A green yes will translate to an aye, a red no will translate to a nay, and raising your hand during a vote will translate to an abstention. Thank you. And with that, I conclude my chair's report. We will now move on to public comment. As per the Gloria Romero Open Meeting Act of 2000, authorized by Section 89306, every Board of Directors agenda for regular meetings shall provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the AS Board of Directors on any item affecting higher education at the campus or statewide level, provided that no action shall be taken on any item not appearing on the agenda. However, the Board of Directors may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by a person exercising their public testimony rights, may ask a question for clarification, make a brief announcement, or make a brief report on their own activities. The AS Board of Directors may also provide a reference to resources for factual information, request staff to report back to the body at a subsequent meeting concerning any matter, or request that a matter of business be placed on a future agenda. Persons recognized by the chair should first identify themselves by name. Time limits will be established by the chair depending on the number of people wishing to speak and the length of the agenda. The maximum amount of time per speaker shall not exceed 10 minutes, and if it is exceeded, I will ask that the public comment be wrapped up. The floor is now open for public comment. I will begin a speakers list, so if you wish to speak, please raise your hand using the button found in the participants list. Is there any public comments at this time? I'll ask again if there's any public comments at this time. You can go ahead and use the raise hand feature on Zoom, which will notify me that you would like to give a public comment. If I am correct, I am not seeing any public comment at this time. Seeing none, we will continue with the agenda. We'll now be moving on to the appointment section of this meeting. And for today's meeting, President Finley has 5 recommended appointees to the Board of Directors. President Finley, you now have the floor to make your first recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'd like to nominate Gio Guerrero for the position of External Affairs Representative. He is a very, he's a senior in, well, he's going to a senior year, majoring in environmental sustainability management. Has been a part of debate in the rowing club. Yeah, likes to hike, go to beaches, and the typical college things that you do. He's ambitious and really sympathetic and really empathetic to people's struggles and needs around the campus. I think that he would make a really great fit for this position simply because of the amount of support from students that I've seen been demonstrated, as well as the possible connections that he can make at CSSA in that level and advocating at the state level. So at this time, just that brief introduction, I'll go ahead and give over some time to Gio to allow him to explain himself and who he is and ultimately why he wants this position.
Awesome. First, thank you, Jeremiah, for the nomination. I'm really thankful for it, and I'm really humbled to accept your nomination for this position. I did not take it lightly, and to begin, sort of what I have to offer if I'm nominated in this capacity begins with my personal connections within CSSA. So my best friend, he's the Vice President of External Relations at SDSU. So this gives us potential access to the AS President for SDSU and makes him a potential ally for HSU. In addition to the President of SFSU, I went to school with him. He's a friend of mine, or high school, I mean. And so I think this gives us a starting foundation to build more collaborative and communicative efforts within CSSA to make sure that our voices are being heard, in addition to building upon this foundation and collaborating with other CSU schools further. Because we're a small school, and we're a very different school compared to the other CSU campuses, and at times HSU could be shut out from important conversations, and our input cannot be taken into consideration. So that's sort of one of my goals, is to really create a better relationship within CSSA, so more of our resolutions are being considered and more of our input is being heard and put into CSSA agendas. In addition to this, I think that overall I am a good advocator, and I can be I'm a good communicator, and I can be a good advocator for students. And I think that this not only helps me in terms of building that relationship within CSSA and convincing people of HSU's position on certain issues, but also listening to students, not only in terms of the issues that they face on campus, but also how to address those issues and how we could effectively adopt resolutions that meet those needs or are in support of state legislation for those needs. Lastly, I think that, I'm a ambitious person overall. I personally love politics. I read the news every single day. So I think that this is a great position for me, and becoming the policy expert on the state and national level for higher education, I think would be a good fit for me overall. Anyone have any questions in regards to that?
Thank you, Gio, for addressing the Board of Directors.
No
I
problem.
now ask if there is a motion on the floor. You can raise your hand using the button to make a motion. The chair recognizes Officer Sotomayor.
I motion to approve the nomination of Gio Guerrero.
Thank you, Officer Sotomayor. There is now a motion on the floor to appoint Gio Guerrero as the External Affairs Representative to the Board of Directors. Is there a second to this motion? Please raise your hand. The chair recognizes Jordan Lamar.
I second the motion to approve the nomination for Gio Guerrero.
Thank you. Officer Sotomayor has motioned to appoint Gio Guerrero as the External Affairs Representative to the Board of Directors, and Vice President Lamar was the second to the motion. The floor is now open for debate. Gio, if you have a question addressed to you, you may answer without me having to recognize you. Are there any board members that wish to ask Gio a question or comment? Please raise your hand to be called upon. I'll ask one time is there any more debate? Seeing none, we will now move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to appointing Gio Guerrero as the External Affairs Representative? Seeing none, Gio Guerrero is appointed as the External Affairs Representative. Congratulations, Gio, and we welcome you.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
President Finley, you now have the floor to recommend your second appointee.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Madam Chair. So next up on the appointments list is Josefina Barantes. for Environmental Sustainability Officer. So Josephina is also going into their senior year, or her senior year, and I believe that she would make a great fit in this position simply because the experience that they possess in regards to developing and working with the environment around Humboldt. They're a little bit about themselves. They're from East Bay, focusing on research and environmental justice. They have a very diverse interest on campus, I guess necessarily in one area, but has a broad interest in being involved around campus, which is something that we all look for when you're, especially in regards to student advocacy. They previously were involved in working with the Lobby Corps with AS during a couple years ago. And so with that being said, I'll go ahead and kind of go over to Josephina and ask if they would like to give a little about themselves and ultimately why are they the best person for this position.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to say that I am honored to be recommended for the environmental sustainability position on the executive board of directors. In my role, I really hope to focus more rigorously on environmental justice issues and bring these themes to light in my role as co-chair of the Earth Week Planning Committee. In addition to this, I look forward to using this as an opportunity to educate our student body on issues such as environmental racism. As I'm finishing my bachelor's degree in political science and starting the environment and community dual master's program this fall, I hope to leverage the knowledge that I gained and will continue to gain so that I can advocate for the needs of clubs and committees on campus related to environment and sustainability.
Thank you, Josephina, for addressing the board of directors. I now ask if there is a motion on the floor. Please use the hand raise motion to make a motion. The chair recognizes Vice President Lopez.
Motion to approve.
There is now a motion on the floor to appoint Josephina Barrantes as the Environmental Sustainability Officer to the Board of Directors. Is there a second to this motion? Also, please raise your hand. The chair recognizes Officer Sotomayor.
Second to the appointee, Josephina.
Vice President Lopez has motioned to appoint Josephina Barrantes as the Environmental Sustainability Officer to the Board of Directors, and Officer Sotomayor has seconded the motion. The floor is now open for debate. Josephina, if a question is addressed to you, feel free to answer without me having to recognize you. Are there any board members that wish to ask Josephina a question or comment? Please raise your hand. The chair recognizes Representative Alvarez.
Sorry, me. Did you mention my name?
Oh yeah, your hand was up, so I was wondering if you wanted
Oh,
to be
sorry.
active.
I was going to the second motion, but that was the third motion.
That's
Sorry
okay. Is there any more debate on this? Seeing none, we will now move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to appointing Josephina Barrantes as the Environmental Sustainability Officer? Seeing none, Josephina Barrantes is appointed as the Environmental Sustainability Officer. Congratulations, Josephina, and we welcome you. President Finley, you now have the floor to recommend your third appointee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next step from our third appointee is Jesus Flores. Jesus was previously a resident advisor for housing. He's also going into his last years, in HSU. He was a part of the Entrepreneurs Club around campus and participated in the startup weekend that we had, which is, and for those of you who don't know, startup weekend is kind of like this place where a lot of business initiatives are brought, and people can kind of ask questions and look at them. And it was it was a project back in, I think, February or January. So I guess I asked him some more of his goals for this position, really, and some things that I thought of was basically about wanting to just see the opportunities in what CPS can really be, and I thought that was really interesting. That could be a possibility. And so with that being said, I'll go ahead and move over to Jesus and ask them if they would like to have any to say anything on their behalf.
First of all, I want to thank President Jeremiah Finley for recommending me for this position. And I look forward to spending time challenging the narrative that student voices don't matter and aren't being heard as the representative of the College of Professional Studies. And hopefully to bridge students and give a voice on campus and have a say where funds are being allocated in times where budget cuts are being implemented and during crises. And most importantly, to represent students across our community and on campus. And to be able to provide and guide students to available resources and connections on campus to foster the success. I hope on serving on AS will allow me to network with other student leaders, administrators, and local businesses and gain leadership experience and professional developing training and receive opportunities to attend events and conferences. I plan on being a part of committees like the Board of Finance and AS funded programs. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Jesus, for addressing the Board of Directors. I now ask if there is a motion on the floor. Please raise your hand. The chair recognizes Officer Sotomayor.
A motion to approve the appointment of Jesus Flores.
There is now a motion on the floor to appoint Jesus Flores as a College of Professional Studies representative to the Board of Directors. Is there a second to this motion? The chair recognizes Vice President Lamar.
I second the motion.
Officer Sotomayor has motioned to appoint Jesus Flores as the College of Professional Studies representative to the Board of Directors, and Vice President Lamar was the second to that motion. The floor is now open for debate, and as well, Jesus, if anyone asks you a question, feel free to address them without having to be called upon. Are there any board members that wish to ask Jesus a question or comment? Please raise your hand. Seeing that there is, the chair recognizes Vice President Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So I do have one quick question. You mentioned your interest in the Board of Finance. I was just curious, do you have any experience with finances or money handling or budget creation in the past?
So at the moment, I don't have any experience, and I hope to gain that experience through this committee. And I'm currently a business administration finance concentration major, and yeah.
Thank you, Jesus. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we will now move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to appointing Jesus Flores as a College of Professional Studies representative? Seeing none, Jesus Flores is appointed as a College of Professional Studies representative. Congratulations, Jesus, and we welcome you to the Board of Directors.
Thank you very much.
President Finley, you now have the floor to recommend your fourth appointee.
Madam Chair. So next up, and this is for our second to last appointee for the day. Next up is Max. And Max is basically going into the third year of botany here at HSU. When speaking with them, I thought they spoke with a lot of integrity in regards to the things that they've been experiencing here on campus, the leadership experiences they have had on campus. Like, for example, they are a part of Kappa Sigma and have ample experience in leadership roles in there. In addition to that, they were involved in different places around the campus. When I asked some of the goals and like, why you were even applying, a lot of what stuck out to me was, wants to bring back HSU spirit to HSU. I think that's really important, especially in these times that we have. And just really recognizing that we are a campus and we do have an identity, and let's show who we are in the most effective way. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and kind of give the rest of my time over to Max to kind of explain a little bit more about themselves and allow y'all to question them.
Hey guys, thank you. I appreciate that, Jeremiah, and I appreciate the recommendation. But yeah, kind of what Jeremiah was talking about. I mainly wanted to apply for the CNRS student rep because there are certain things within the within the College of Science and Natural Resources that, a lot of students, including myself, have voiced we should change that, or it should be better in this way, or it should, we should be balancing it this way. And I was like, I'll be real, like I was a click away from transferring schools, but then the COVID-19 crisis happened and it wasn't worth it anymore. And I was like, okay, well, time to, stop complaining and start changing. So that's kind of why I applied, is I was like, I can complain and complain and complain, or I can do something about it. And that's always the person I've kind of been. So I'm super excited. I have a lot of ideas to improve the department. One of my biggest ones is I want to make it easier for students within the college to find research opportunities at the school, because they are there, but they're sometimes a little bit hard to find, and you have to go talk to every professor individually, and Handshake is not the best platform. I know, because I've tried using it, and all my opportunities have come from not Handshake, but from spending a lot of time seeking it out. When teachers want students want teachers, let's make some sort of platform that's easy for them to find each other. And then as well too, I'd love to like Jeremiah was saying, increase spirit across campus just through encouraging the different colleges to interact with each other, because as a College of Natural Resource Science student, I don't really interact with many of the other students in the other colleges because of the geography of HSU's campus, how a lot of arts are going to be towards the top of campus and a lot of the sciences are going to be towards the bottom, and there's not really a reason for me to go to the top of campus and meet those people. So let's encourage spirit through having events where we can gather all the departments together and just make good changes that people appreciate, and makes people happy and make people want to go to HSU. So even though I was about to transfer, I truly do love this school, and I just want to see it perform to its fullest, because I know it can. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for addressing the Board of Directors, Max. I now would like to ask if there's a motion on the floor. The chair recognizes Vice President Lamar.
I motion to accept the nomination of Max for the College of Natural Resources and Solids representative.
Thank you. There is now a motion on the floor to appoint Max Schmidt-Bauer as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative to the Board of Directors. Is there a second to this motion? The chair recognizes Representative Floyd.
I second.
Thank you. Vice President Lamar has motioned to appoint Max as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative, and Representative Floyd was the second to that motion. The floor is now open for debate. As I've said with the other appointees, Max, if anyone directs a question at you, feel free to respond without me having to recognize you. Are there any board members that wish to ask Max a question or comment? Please raise your hand to be added to the speakers list. Is there any debate? Seeing none, we will now move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to appointing Max as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative? Seeing none, Max is appointed as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative. Congratulations, Max, and we welcome you to the Board of Directors.
Thank you, appreciate it.
President Finley, you now have the floor to recommend your fifth appointee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is my fifth and final appointee for this board meeting. Next up for appointment, I have Kenny Moore. Kenny is a strong, I believe a super strong individual and could be super valuable on the board of directors in just regards to environmental law and how we might want to explore that, and really giving AS at HSU a platform or some opportunity for us to take the lead in initiative in a lot of these environmental justice fights. With that being said, Kenny is also a senior that is majoring in environmental sustainability. When I asked about why he wants to even kind of apply, the answer was, they would like to learn more about how the system works and identify the change that you want to make, like, and you by being the students, what the students would like to make. I asked about some different things like that, and so ultimately, I think that they would make a great addition to the team in this capacity of college natural resources representative. And so with that being said, I'll go over to Kenny Moore and allow them to give a little bit more explanation about who they are and why they want this position.
Thank you, President Finley, for the recommendation. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I know that HSU likes to champion environmental sustainability, and it's one of the big draws that brings people to this campus. So I just want to be a part of something good, and I want to identify ways that HSU can kind of push the boundaries of environmental sustainability and make it just the best thing it can be. And one of the other reasons I applied is because I want to be a voice for students. Like I've had a really great time at HSU, but I know that a lot of other students kind of haven't had a great time at HSU for one reason or the other. And I want to be able to identify issues that students are having and bring them to light and try to find meaningful solutions to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny, for addressing the board. I now ask if there is a motion on the floor. The chair recognizes Vice President Lamar.
I motion to accept Kenny Moore for the College of Natural Resources and Science representative.
There is now a motion on the floor to appoint Kenny Moore as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative to the Board of Directors. Is there a second to this motion? The chair recognizes Representative Floyd.
I second.
Thank you. Vice President Lamar has motioned to appoint Kenny Moore as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative to the Board of Directors, and Representative Floyd was a second to that motion. The floor is now open for debate, and as well, Kenny, if anyone directs a question at you, feel free to answer. Are there any board members that wish to ask Kenny a question or comment? Please raise your hand. If there is no debate, we will move on to a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions to appointing Kenny as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative? Seeing none, Kenny is appointed as a College of Natural Resources and Science representative. Congratulations, Kenny, and we also welcome you to the Board of Directors.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We will now move on to the board reports. Board members are welcome to report on what they have been working on or plan to work on during the summer if they have not already prepared a separate report. Board members may also state that they have nothing to report on when their name is called if that is the case. New board members may speak about what they're looking forward to. We will begin the board reports with the president. The chair recognizes President Finley. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I do have a few things that I do want to report on for the board of directors. In addition to that, I have something that I do want to address to the larger body and to the students of the association. So I'll go ahead and start with my report first. Starting with the report part, some things that we are talking about and are working on over the summer is the space vision. I mean, the space reimagination and seeing where we're, what spaces on campus AS can identify in order to have a better and more robust student union. So those conversations are going on. If folks are kind of interested in partnering up with that, please feel free to email me, reach out to me, or Mayuli or David and Jordan to kind of help get these conversations started. Secondly, what's going on is the board initiative proposal, which is being prepared for the end of summer. This board initiative proposal is going to be a culmination again of folks' ideas and interests and things like that. So what's going to happen is over these next few weeks, I'll be reaching out to people over emails to see and get input about things that they would like to see happen for the next following year, and present that all at the end of the summer, for us to kind of have a roadmap or a plan set up for the rest of the year. The last thing I think is more pertinent to the next couple of days is the chief of police search. So if you all haven't noticed, we do have an interim chief of police, and this interim chief of police is going to be going on until September. And so we have from now until September to decide who's going to be our next chief of police. The Vice President of Administrative Affairs, Douglas Dawes, has reached out to me asking and requesting students to be involved in that committee. So myself is already on there on that search committee. So I'm looking for one more student, preferably a graduate student. But however, if we cannot find one that is a graduate student, or any undergraduates who are super willing and wanting to really be involved, reach out to me so that way we can get you on the list to be sent out to Douglas Dawes by next. He's hoping to get this out by next Monday. So there's a bit of a time crunch. So yeah, there's that. With that being said, I think that kind of concludes my information report stuff. If I could, Madam Chair, address the larger body and the students of the association.
You may.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So lately there has been a lot going on around campus and around the nation, around the country, around the state, in regards to a lot of things. With that being said, I just wanted to kind of address these issues. So over these past few weeks, I have seen things that have once again made me question my place in this nation. I once again was forced and faced with the reality that to some, my voice and my life does not matter. Was brought to a place of frustration and exhaustion, which led me to look up some quotes that I could find in order to create some type of inspiration. And I stumbled upon one from Martin Luther King Jr. when he said, "A riot is language of the unheard." And from my perspective, it is clear from the news and from the social media outcry that there are many, not only in this country, but around the world, that feel unheard. In this nation, for over 500 years, Black people in this country have been subjected to the symptoms of an unjust system that has refused to give reconciliation. Across the globe, some people in places of power have taken conscious efforts to not listen to the voices of justice. Unheard voices must be listened to in order for progress to be made. I guess that takes me to my community and their families. We as a collective cannot afford to lose focus on our efforts. And I'm not saying that protesting is a distraction. In fact, that is what we need in these times of adversity. Furthermore, I am in support of you to speak truth to power and letting it be known that the injustices from the past 500 years need to be corrected. And I'll provide some clarification. While for over 400 years we have been in this nation, the elected slave trade started way before that. The country and this nation needs to address that as well. Additionally, I would like it to be out there that it is okay, and I'm speaking to my community, it is okay to be not okay, to be tired, to be frustrated, to be angry, to be afraid, and all other emotions or lack thereof. We as people go through a lot during our daily walk of life, and while we may not always be able and have the energy to actively protest, I will say this. It has been proven that our existence is a protest to the powers we are fighting against. Whether we are jogging, sleeping in our homes, walking, working, attending parties like a typical college student, seeking relief from the academic pressures. And even so, what perplexes me the most and infuriates me is the fact that this nation has equated breathing while being Black to be crime. And it's as if we are born to be suffocated both physically by the needs of those sent here to protect and metaphysically by the unwritten rules of the society. The rules that tell us when to stand up and when to kneel, to put our hands out of the car when we are during a traffic stop, to get home before the streetlights come on. And if we violate one of these rules, then it is our fault what occurs in the moments after. And so I guess my takeaway from all this, and the things that I want you all to take away, is that Our existence, your existence, is resistance in itself. So keep fighting. To our allies and those on the fence due to family choices, I would invite you to use your platforms in education to help decipher and fight against deliberate misinformation and inspire others. And know that it is okay to step back and allow others to step up so that you can recharge. Use our social media accounts as a one tool and post uplifting messages, organize creative social media campaigns. Reach out to those you know who need a little extra attention in these times. In that vein, do more than just being a performative ally, meaning at its core, fight with us during the moments of high attention and low. Be our consistent allies and ensure that we move away from being bystanders and performative allyship. Continually educate yourself, educate those around you, donate to your local Black Lives Matter chapter, or nationally wherever you can. Offer up your platform to those of us who don't have one and allow them to speak with their truth, because that is how you will elevate and truly amplify those voices instead of speaking for them. To all our social justice warriors, those who want action, those who want change, those who are tired of being sick and tired, you are not alone. You're not alone in this fight. And to be quite honest, I believe that we're just getting started, because the final round is far ahead of us, but I think that it'll be here more quickly than we think. Even still, it is important that we keep up this fight. Know that you are fighting for all those who will come after us, just as the ones before our time did. They fought for our rights and prove that there is no one way to fight. From Martin to Malcolm, from Thurgood Marshall to Rosa Parks, stretching back to Franklin to Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, Madam C.J. Walker, and George Washington Carver, to the current times and directly the HSU people, the people that HSU have seen in action, Dr. Cornel West and Dr. Lawrence Ross, and every one of the allies and every battle that we have had in between. And I know that I mentioned those out of order. Even so, the message still remains. My point being, you use what you can to help progress the elimination, root and branch of the worst illness that we've ever faced. I say this because we must recognize that there is not a chance we could be one of the greats, but more of a responsibility and a more obligation to rise and exceed the bars that they have set. And know that even now, as we sit in this meeting and discuss the positivity and progression, there are those who see this and are not happy and are preparing, gearing up for next spring. So we must stay united and listen earnestly to all students to ensure that no one is left behind in this wave of change this year and next. As that is not the intention, nor is my approach to the leadership of this body. By doing this, we'll be working to ensure that the change that we voted for and are carrying out does not get set back and stifled. With that being said, I thank you all for attending this meeting today. As we leave and exit afterwards, I say that you please be safe, please take care, and please keep breathing in solidarity. Jeremiah Finley.
Thank you, President Finley. The chair recognizes Administrative Vice President Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to report on some of the things I've been doing over the summer. I've already begun to work on getting involved with local leaders on campus, student leaders, to get their voices heard, as I promised. And I would like to encourage other student leaders to continue to reach out and to continue to participate in these things. I'm here waiting to hear you. In these moments, it can be easy for us to lose focus and not address the voices of all the students around us and our peers. And I'd like to further encourage them to speak up and speak out so they're heard equally, and that I'm here to represent them. So with that being said, the other projects that I've been working on, in addition to the space allocations, has also been with the working on finding other ways for programs that didn't receive the funding for this upcoming year to acquire funding. some avenues such as that would be the clubs programs that I am currently working on an application for. So clubs and organizations on campus can apply for funding through this avenue. So I strongly encourage that. And I also would like to note that if there's any questions about any of these things that I brought up, to please do not hesitate to reach out to me and ask. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vice President Lopez. For my board report, I would like to acknowledge and commend the student advocacy that has occurred and that I have seen to denounce the actions of the 2 Humboldt State students that were seen weaponizing their white privilege in a video and social media post that surfaced. I am interested in holding a public hearing and will be looking forward to working with the rest of the board to explore this possibility, so please feel free to contact me. To continue my board report, this summer I will also be working towards getting students appointed to committees, like the Bylaws Committee, because I think it's important that we encourage our students to participate in the governance of this campus together. I will also be working closely with the Bylaws Committee to discuss and take action on the recommendations made in the Guiding Documents Task Force report from last year. And with that, I conclude my board report. The chair recognizes Student Affairs Vice President Lamar.
Hello, everyone. So a few things that I've been working on lately, just trying to look into details of finding a new funding committee as far as the clubs when it comes to events wise and how we can assist them in any possible way. And then as well as continue the work from the past SAVP, making sure that the community compensation packets are being looked at and making sure that the students who are interested in these committees are being assisted to their best value. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Lamar. The chair recognizes the Social Justice and Equity Officer Sotomayor.
Good evening, everyone. I think it's evening. I think 3:50 counts more or less is evening. I want to start by thanking you all for being here and thank my colleagues for the strength they demonstrate as leaders on our campus. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn from each of you as this summer as we prepare for what may be a tumultuous semester. In terms of an update, I've been doing the following. Number one, transitioning into my position as Social Justice and Equity Officer, hoping to continue the great work of Chair Cuellar. Thank you so much for your the meeting you had with me. 2, imagining how an Associated Students Social Justice and Equity Committee might look. 3, dialoguing with ODI about a community response to the killings of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, and Nina Pop. Furthermore, extending that response to the recent anti-Black video created by HSU students. 4, seeking ways to support the students and faculty behind the Food Sovereignty Lab. 5, creating training to inform on the safety needs of transgender students. And that's what I've been working on. In conclusion, despite the distance, we are here together. I'm so happy to be here and see all of your faces. I encourage you to contact me, anyone really, board members or anyone present, if you need a silent and patient listener or any support on any of your projects. Thank you for choosing to be part of change during a time when you may not have the love and support in your personal lives that you're striving to give to Humboldt State.
Thank you, Officer Sotomayor. The chair recognizes the Environmental Sustainability Officer Barantes.
Hello. So far, I have not reached out to any clubs, obviously talking about funding because I'm not, well, I just got appointed, but I am looking forward to doing so and making sure that they are well in the next coming year. I know budget cuts are going to be really difficult for all the clubs, and I look forward to advocating for their financial well-being.
Thank you, Officer Barantes. The chair recognizes the External Affairs Representative Guerrero.
Hey guys, little update on what I intend to do within this next upcoming week is to meet with PIOA to get a better understanding of the accomplishments that were made last year and sort of the the outlook for the lobby corps. Just got appointed today. Really excited. And I also like to really emphasize my my gratitude to the support behind what's going on with the board, and I'm happy that we're being vocal about that because these are important topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Guerrero. The chair recognizes the representative for the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, Alvarez. I know
Hi,
that.
everyone.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. I have nothing to report. I'm just really glad to be a part of this team.
Thank you, Representative Alvarez. I apologize for interrupting you. The chair recognizes the representative for the College of Natural Resources and Science, Mort.
Hey everybody. Yeah, obviously I just got appointed today, but kind of like what Josefina said, I am planning on reaching out to all the clubs in the CNRS and seeing what their needs are and reporting it back.
Thank you, Representative Mort. The chair recognizes the representative for the College of Natural Resources and Science, Schmidt-Bauer.
Hey everybody, kind of more of the same. Just got appointed today, but my number one goal is just to get a link on the department website for the department websites for the different majors in the college, linking professors and students with research opportunities, and that's what I'm gonna be working on mainly. But yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Representative Schmidt-Bauer. The chair recognizes the representative for the College of Professional Studies, Flores.
Hello, there's nothing to report, but I really like what David Lopez said about the program and trying to fund clubs, and I would be interested in possibly seeing what that's about.
Thank you, Representative Flores. The chair recognizes the at-large Representative Floyd.
Hi, everyone. So it's been a rough couple weeks, but I want to thank Casey and Jeremiah for holding me down and communicating with me for the last couple weeks. With all the things that's going on right now in the world, I have talked to Jeremiah and Casey about the board of directors and the staff doing a kind of like a PSA for our website, just letting students know that we care about them and we have rough times going on. So in the next couple weeks and couple days, please think about a slogan or a way we can get this out. I kind of want it more than just a social media post. I kind of want to go to our website, so a little bit of production value to it. So just keep that in your minds, and I will send a group me out and an email out to everyone so we can get that started, and hope everyone's doing okay and staying healthy and having great family time. That concludes my report.
Thank you for your kind words, Representative Floyd. The chair recognizes Executive Director Lund.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is such a mixed time. I know in a number of our meetings, we've talked about excitement because on the business part, we're heading in a really good direction, and you guys are beyond amazing. I am so impressed. And we're also layered with what you have been speaking about and what's happening with our campus, our state, our country, our world. It's all very complicated. And just to put it on the record, I'm absolutely an active ally. And also on the record, I'm imperfect, I'm human. And so I welcome when I misstep, when I misspeak, please feel free to help me out because I'm striving to be a better person, and your feedback is greatly appreciated. I'm extra thankful to this board for your willingness and enthusiasm to work this summer. This is the first summer that we've had summer meetings, and already it feels super positive and productive that we're gonna hit the fall running, and or maybe a quick jog. We're looking for balance and making sure that our self-care and that we're taking care of ourselves So I encourage you all to continue taking care of yourselves, please. I might even check in once in a while and ask you what you're doing to do that. Which leads me to, I'm finding balance with where I insert myself and where I just really try to make myself available and accommodating. And so I'm verbalizing at this point that if any of you want to reach out and chat, things that I love to do, I love just listening. I also love brainstorming. So already seeing and hearing what some of your interests are, I started making a list of like committees that you might be interested in. So if you're interested in chatting more about that, I would love to strategize and kind of go through where your interests, skills, energy could be put so that we can really be strategic about where student voice is across campus. Your passion's amazing and I really appreciate it. Some of the things we've been working on this summer already are assessment for AS. Not just because it's being asked by the the division that we're dotted line to, but assessment is necessary and it's important to ensure that we are good stewards of your student fee money and that we are achieving what your constituents find valuable and that it's working. As you all know too, we are flipping things for our programs for at least next semester. And so we're working hard on our AS collabs and AS club grants. Those are two different areas that your constituents will be able to access funds. And so we're spending time this summer to get all set up so that everybody knows exactly how to come and request money and do all their great things that they're doing. And then of course, like every year, we're doing end of the year wrap up and then preparing for next year. And that's it for today. So welcome aboard. Glad to see you all.
There we go. Thank you, Executive Director Lund. The chair recognizes the interim Dean of Students, Dr. Turnbow.
Good afternoon, all. Just a few things to report on. First things first, we, as in my office, Dean of Students has been working with some of the current AS leadership and transitioning some of the groups who were previously AS core programs. And so there is a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks that we are working collaboratively on to make sure that we can best support the students who are transitioning so they can be successful next year and have the support and structure that they need. So that's exciting. I've also been asked to be a part in some of the training exercises and workshops that are going to be happening this summer, working with you all. So also looking forward to that. And then lastly, have been meeting with your current president already to discuss a variety of things around whether it's space on campus, whether it's making sure students are represented on different committees, structural things. And so I will continue to have those ongoing meetings. I'm looking forward to also starting some monthly meetings with Jordan in his position as well. I will end my piece talking about how obviously I am fully aware of all that is going on right now. Even prior to the incident with our students, just the state of the country. Obviously, I'm a Black woman, so I get alerts, I feel, I see, I'm human. And then on our own campus, what we're dealing with, and on top of all of those things, wanting to support and be there for our students, because that's also something that's important to me and that I care about. And so our office has been managing the best that we can and seeking to respond to any and every student that has reached out to us, has received their response. Any and every student that has called, we answered and or tried to call back if we had that information, because it's important to me that our students know and that you all know that our office is in support and trying to make sure students know we hear you. And so keeping communication as best that we can while staying within legal parameters. And I just encourage any of you that if you all have questions, don't hesitate to ask. If I can't answer, I'll say I can't answer. Easy question is we can't answer anything on an pending investigation. but that doesn't stop how we can move actions forward. I think, you know, as I heard in one of the reports earlier, talking about how let's get a campaign going, let's do some action. And that's student driven, that's student led. And I would encourage us to find ways to help educate and continue to bring these types of things to the surface. So I just wanted to put that out there. You can always message me separately or email me, but thank you for the work that you are going to do, the work that you've already talked about, the sentiments that we've shared tonight. It's this sort of piece that it's good for us all. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Turnbow. And that concludes our reports. Before moving on, I wanted to mention that I did see that Board Coordinator Park mentioned that for those who have just joined us, the agenda is in the chat, so you can go ahead and follow us along with that. We will now be moving on to general discussion. Anyone may follow up with questions regarding reports. I now ask that you use the raise hand feature of Zoom to notify me that you wish to speak. If you are calling into our meeting, you may also verbally notify me if you're not able to use the raise hand feature. We have a member of the public, Amanda, who wishes to join general discussion. I believe that someone would have to yield time to them. Would someone like to yield time to Amanda?
Madam Chair?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to do two things. I want to yield time to Rosa Granados, and then also yield time to Amanda. I saw that Rosa put it in the chat and didn't raise her hand, but I think that, so can we go Rosa, then Amanda?
For sure, thank you for correcting me on that. Go ahead.
To yield time to Rosa.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me on that. I was not paying attention to the chat. Rosa, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Rosa. I'm part of the cross country team and the track team. And Maggie is one of my sisters in the sorority too. I'm very involved. I love to be involved. I love people. And I think with everything going on, oh, I'm a social work major too. Kind of why I love people. And so I had a couple things come up. I came a little bit late to the meeting, but I think you guys were talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, potentially still having police officers on campus. And I really want to emphasize this matter because people that are coming in as incomers for the fall are very aware of what's going on in the world today. And just like a lot of us, we fear, and a lot comes from the police. And I'm aware that HSU has police officers on campus and they are armed. I think that this subject is being taught by a lot of schools right now. And I believe and suggest that we listen to those that are removing their police officers from campus and making it more comfortable and safer for the students. And so I really wanted to talk about that, if possible, with just what can we do to make it happen. And if it's signing petitions, we can gather those up very quickly. Because I think that our students on campus don't want to be silent anymore. And we want to speak up about these things. And a lot of what I heard today in this meeting is the want to bring spirit back and the want to bring everyone together and everyone have a voice, and to show students that they can do that. But thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope for positive change on our campus. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to talk with us, Rosa. I'd recommend if you feel comfortable with it, maybe dropping your email down in the chat in case any board members want to reach out to you. We will now move on to Amanda.
Hi, I'm a student in the College of Natural Resources. I also have worked for the Eric Rofus Center this past year. And I just wanted to express some of the things that I've been seeing from other students about the hate crime that was committed by 3 students this week in that video. So for one, I noticed that only 2 of the students had been suspended from activities when there were 3 students in the video. Second of all, they were suspended from their activities. We're all suspended from our activities because school's online. So it's really not even a slap on the wrist, it's nothing. 3, I wanna know what the investigative process is and how it can be more transparent, and if we will ever be notified if expulsion is the action that takes place. Because I've seen students who are like incoming for this next year who are saying, oh, should I reconsider? Should I go to a different school? Is this not going to be a safe place for me? And I think that HSU we shoot ourselves in the foot all the time, because not only is it like the right thing to do to expel them, but students, we're so concerned about our enrollment. And students are deciding not to go to this school. Actually, I have friends who are transferring. This was the final straw for them in transferring. So if anybody can comment on that or wants to shoot me an email, that'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you, Amanda. Also, if you would like to drop your email in the chat, that'd be really appreciated. The chair recognizes Officer Sotomayor.
Are we able to respond to any of these? Sorry, I'm still learning the...
You're good to go.
Cool. I guess my question in response to Amanda is actually another question for, I wonder if Dean Turnbow, do you know the, maybe you could just lay out the procedure for us? Is there a due process issue here? Because
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so there's always a process, right? And so if, for those of you who are not aware, on the Dean of Students website, it maps out the code of conduct and the investigative process. And so no matter how we personally feel about whatever that it is, and let me say, of course, any racial slurs or hate crimes, or even if it's Title IX, sexual assault, all those things are horrible, deplorable, right? And so no matter how horrible it is, it still has to go through a due process. That is legally federal law. And so what happens is someone has to submit the information to our office formally as a complaint. That happened on Wednesday. And when it happened, we began the process. And the process is essentially gets reviewed by our office. The code of conduct officer reaches out to confirm, for example, are people that are being submitted to our office, are they students? Are they enrolled? Are they previous students? Did they graduate? These are some general questions we have to ask about every submission, from somebody jaywalking to someone making racial slurs. The process does not change. If it's confirmed that the people who are submitted as accused are students, then we have jurisdiction to proceed a code of conduct investigation if it's deemed to be one. It has obviously been publicly stated that there is a pending investigation. And so not exactly like a court of law, but in regards to the process, it's similar in asking questions, doing research on the evidence that was submitted, reviewing different things of that nature. That's a part of the process. And once different things, so it's not necessarily something you can just look at right away, is very often researching more on, is something else out there related to whatever was submitted? What did the student who was accused, if it's found to be a student, what did they say that may then trigger more investigations, right? So it's a process. And so once that goes back and forth until it's complete, and then at the end, based on everything that's submitted and reviewed, a decision is made. And it can be, and this is again on our website, Casey dropped the link, it could be anything from no, not responsible, so no violations or sanctions or discipline, everything to expulsion, and there's things in between. Again, that's on the website. The question Amanda asks is, I believe, will we be notified or how will we know? The answer is, unfortunately, you will not be. And let me make it clear, it is not, HSU is not doing anything. If you understand federal law, if any institution that is public receiving federal funds were to release an outcome of any student code of conduct investigation, please believe they are going to lose those federal funds. So it's not a, we can't, or we're choosing not to tell. I think it's an understanding of how the federal law works. The difference in what we're trying to do with the communication that went out is to essentially tell you, we are investigating what was submitted to us, and we can't comment more than what I have, because it's general information, what I've already been sharing on a pending investigation. So, you know, I think someone had asked me, oh, isn't this the student? And it's always, I can't comment on a pending investigation. So we will not be able to share from the Dean of Students Office what the final sanction will be. So I can pretend that in 5 minutes, if I said, oh, the outcome is over and they're expelled. Even if I did that in 5 minutes, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Or if I decided no sanctions are gonna happen, I wouldn't be able to tell you. And so it's not a sense of nothing is being done. I think it's understanding and the way things work, and that unless that individual who chose to share, and then, you know, obviously they can do what they want because it's their information. But we are not authorized to do that. And so there's some other things in the works that we're looking to do around general training and conversations and development. But the reality is our hands are tied with what we can share around personal student records, because it becomes a part of that record. And so, Amanda, I hope that answers your question on big picture of notifications and how the process generally works.
Thank you, Dr. Turnbow. Do you have a follow-up question, Roman?
I think it's more of a follow-up, couple of follow-up statements. So, like I said, I was in discussion with the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion on about how to respond to this instance, and then our sort of greater, you know, the greater ones within the United States. And so I think it would be really awesome. I'll loop you into the emails, Dean Turnbow, because the way you explained it just now to us, I would really want the rest of our students to hear. I think it's, you know, we can advocate that the student be expelled. We can't advocate that the student be expelled immediately because it's against the law. And these laws, while right now they feel like they are preventing justice, perhaps for some of us, you know, they are also the same ones that protect marginalized people from being immediately expelled for unfair reasons. So let's keep that in mind as we navigate this. I mean, obviously this is a horrible thing that happened. I'm not trying to argue that it's not, but as Dean Turnbow said, there is laws, and if you want to start working to change those, you know, let's talk about that too, because, you know, but that's like a different thing.
Thank you, Roman. Is there someone else who wishes to speak? You could raise your hand to notify me. I'm not seeing anyone right now, so seeing no speakers, we will go ahead and move on with our agenda. So new business is now in order. Our first item of business is a proclamation. President Finley will decree that the Associated Students, close my tab, sorry. That the Associated Students' support for the Black Lives Matter movement, expressing solidarity against the violence inflicted on Black communities by the state and vigilantes. A second reading waiver has been requested by President Finley. President Finley will now be presenting the proclamation in its first reading. President Finley, you now have the floor to present the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, you know, before I go ahead and start reading, I do want to say I want to thank and commend every single last one of the students who have come in and spoken on behalf of the rest of their students. I think it's really important, really impactful, and it's honestly inspiring for me to see all of the things that have been going on and just the amount of advocacy from every single one of our students. I just thank you. Makes my job a lot easier. With that being said, I'll go ahead and present this proclamation. And this proclamation came as a result of the events from the past weeks and months and honestly years, but as the primary reason, but secondary and still pertinent is what has happened in the past couple of days. I'll take the time really fast just to say I don't stand with anything that was said during that time in that video, of course, as you guys may be able to see. That is not what I stand for, and that's not what, as the president of AS, that I want AS to stand for. And so I wrote this proclamation. So, whereas the Associated Students of Humboldt State University's mission is to provide a means for responsible and effective participation in the governance of campus, provide an official voice through which students' opinions may be expressed, foster awareness of these opinions both on and off campus, assist in the protection of the rights and interests of the individual student and the student body, provide services for the programs as deemed necessary by the corporation to meet the needs of the student and campus community, and to stimulate the educational, social, physical, and cultural well-being of the university community, per the AS Constitution, last revised spring 18. Whereas the Associated Students at Humboldt State University are committed to social justice as per Resolution 2019-2001, and act to clarify the commitment of the Associated Students of Humboldt State University. The term, it states, the term social justice is defined as a fair and just relations between the individual and society. This is measured by the explicit and tacit terms for the distribution of wealth, opportunities for personal activity and social privileges. And whereas it is then the duty of the Associated Students to seek out and stand against all unfair and unjust relations between the individual and society by aiding them in positive distributions of opportunities of personal activities and social privilege. And whereas the Black Lives Matter movement was created in July 2013 as a response to the unfair and unjust criminal justice system in the United States, specifically the treatment of the case of Trayvon Martin, where a white passing male was allowed to walk free and be acquitted after the murdering of the young man Trayvon Martin. And whereas for the past 60 years, the Black Lives Matter movement has constantly maintained its fight against the unfair treatment of the Black community in the United States through spearheading social media campaigns to shed light on the unjust system, providing information services for the undocumented Black community in the United States, providing social media materials and art to share around the globe, creating healing kits for social justice warriors alike around the world, creating web series and podcasts to educate on the fight for justice and freedom. And whereas in recent times, creating and providing COVID-19 responses and resources, and creating chapters across the nation and the globe to continue the fight against the unfair and unjust system in the United States. Fighting against anti-Blackness and equipping others to fight simultaneously. Whereas anti-Blackness has been present in this nation for over half a millennium, where Black people in this nation have been subjected to both the direct sickness and symptoms of the worst illness that has ever reared its face on this planet today. And whereas millennium is 1,000 years, where in half of that time, countless wars have been fought, civilizations built, nations formed, disasters averted, religions founded, and new worlds discovered, space travel invented, all with the help of Black lives. And whereas it has come to the attention of the Associated Students at Humboldt State University that once again, Black lives in the form of this movement have been leading the force in this fight for social justice, transforming everyday individuals into social justice warriors through peaceful protesting, counteracting deliberate misinformation, as well as creating spaces for people to process the events in the past few weeks and concerning the deaths of the Black lives around the United States. Now, therefore, as president of the Associated Students, being empowered by the AS Governing Code, section 15.02, proclamation shall be decreed by the president of the Associated Students, officially condemning and or recognizing the actions of an individual, group, or club, or announcing special events of concern to Humboldt State University students. I decree that the Associated Students at Humboldt State University formally stand in solidarity with all Black lives and all but in the Black Lives Matter movement.
Thank you, President.
Go ahead.
Thank you, President Finley, for presenting the proclamation. Discussion is now in order regarding President Finley's presentation. I will start a speakers list, and if you would like to speak, please raise your hand to be added to the speakers list. Seeing no discussion is closed. I would like to remind the Board of Directors that President Finley has requested to have the second reading waived. So now I would like to ask if there's a motion on the floor. The chair recognizes Vice President Lopez.
I'd like to second the motion to waive the second reading.
Would you like to motion? Because there is not a motion on the floor at this time.
Yes, I'd like to.
So Vice President Lopez has motioned to waive the second reading. Can I get clarification if this is to waive the second reading and adopt, or only waive the second reading, Vice President Lopez?
Waive and adopt.
Thank you. So Vice President Lopez has motioned to waive the second reading and adopt the proclamation titled Associated Students in Solidarity with Black Lives Matter. I now ask if there is a second. The chair recognizes Representative Floyd.
I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you, Representative Floyd. Vice President Lopez motioned to waive the second reading and adopt the proclamation Associated Students in Solidarity with Black Lives Matter, and Representative Floyd seconded that motion. Debate is now in order regarding the motion on the floor. I will begin a speakers list, and if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Representative Floyd, do you wish to speak? That's okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during debate? Seeing none, we will now move on to a vote. We'll be taking a roll call vote. So Board Coordinator Park, may you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. And okay. So starting President Jeremiah Finley.
I vote aye.
Vice President Lopez.
Aye.
Vice President Lamar.
Aye.
Officer Sotomayor.
Aye.
I believe that Representative Alvarez is currently out of the meeting, so our quorum is down to 10. So sorry, moving forward, Representative Floyd.
Aye.
And Officer Barantes.
Aye.
Representative Flores.
Aye.
Representative Schmidt-Bauer.
Aye.
And Representative Mort.
Aye.
You have a unanimous adoption.
Thank you, Board Coordinator Park. The ayes have it. The proclamation titled Associated Students in Solidarity with Black Lives Matter is adopted. Our second item of business is discussion regarding support for the Native American Studies Food Sovereignty Lab. Public comments were heard. Sorry, my tab closed again. Public comments were heard regarding the Food Sovereignty Lab, and members of the Board of Directors met with Cody and Moxie, point people for the Food Sovereignty Lab. Now support for the Food Sovereignty Lab has been brought in front of the board. The AS Board of Directors and the University Senate have been asked to support their request for the Hilltop Marketplace space to establish a Native American Studies Food Sovereignty Lab. This is a discussion item, and so I will begin a speakers list. Please raise your hand if you would like to speak. I can see that Cody would like to speak, but I believe a representative would have to yield time to Cody. Would someone like to yield time to Cody?
I yield time to Cody.
Cody, go ahead.
Thank you so much for having me today. I just wanted to take a short moment to express my gratitude to the board for putting forth this resolution or to vote on. And we very much are in support with this other resolution as well. I know it's not necessarily my place to say, but We'd just like to thank you for taking the time to hear us today on these important issues that we also face as well.
Thank you, Cody. Is there someone else who would like to speak? The chair recognizes Officer Sotomayor.
I just had a few questions of clarification. I think there was like a little bit of confusion with, so the Food Sovereignty Lab has the space now, and then, so for our resolution, we are advocating for the inclusion of the Food Sovereignty Lab into the academic plan. That's where I'm at currently. Was there more that we could put into the resolution? Or I see Amanda has raised a hand. I'm not sure if that was while I was talking or, but so that's my question.
I'll go ahead and ask if Amanda, would you like to respond to this?
Yeah, no, I just raised my hand while you were talking, Roman. I also had a question of if there was a physical copy of the resolution and if it could be attached, or is it already attached and I'm just not seeing it?
Roman, would you like to respond to that?
Of the Food Sovereignty Lab resolution, I don't, to my knowledge, we're not voting on one today, but we are rather preparing to do so. We just wanted to make sure that we had everything correct and that it is perfect before we even try to vote on it. That way, you guys have a copy of it that's like rock solid.
Oh, got it. Thanks.
I think I saw Cody's hand up, but then it went away. Cody, did you want to speak?
I guess I just wanted to clarify for this resolution was to we have gotten like a soft approval for this space moving forward, and so what we are looking for is the advocacy of the board, the AS board, for the inclusion of the explicit inclusion of the Indigenous Food Sovereignty Lab in the academic master plan that is being rewritten right now. So that is our what I'm currently asking for.
Thank you, Cody. Is there someone else who wishes to speak? Seeing no one, we'll be moving on to our next item of business. Our last item of business for today's meeting is the first reading of a piece of legislation titled An Act to Update the Fiscal Code. The piece of legislation is being brought to the Board of Directors by President Finley. President Finley, you now have the floor to present.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yeah, this piece of legislation was brought about because there's a need to update our fiscal code in order for us to carry out or do what we're already charged or kind of already practicing, and just formalizing it and putting it into our codes. With that being said, I'll go ahead and start reading it from the beginning. So whereas the Associated Students and Board of Directors of Humboldt University is a single recognized voice of over 6,500 students, and whereas the mission of the Associated Students of Humboldt University serves to assist in the protection of the rights and interests of the individual student and student body, and to stimulate the educational, social, physical, and cultural being of the university community. And whereas to carry out the mission the Associated Students has been tasked with, there's a need for internal documents to be viewed and updated on a regular basis. The Associated Students, the AS Constitution, as fiscal officers, we shall allocate Associated Students body fees in accordance with the AS mission statement. And whereas the AS Fiscal Code was last updated and revised in the spring semester of 2018. And whereas since then, there has been numerous changes to the workings of AS that have not been worked into the AS Fiscal Code and policies thereof, such as the changing in administration over the AS event grants. Therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors alter the name of the Board of Finance to state the Finance Committee. Furthermore be it resolved, in order to bring the AS Fiscal Code to date, the AS Fiscal Code Section 12 be amended to state as follows. Section 12 states AS clubs and organizations travel accounts. I guess without really getting into the meat of the policy itself and the section itself, overall, we're just recognizing 12.1 is really the kind of the lynch. And so saying is, these funds shall be administered by the Associated Students Finance Committee. This is something that we've already been doing. It's just kind of formalizing and putting it into our code and documents. And then the last resolved is resolved that the copies of the resolution be sent to the AS funded areas. That's pretty much the resolution in a nutshell. This resolution was co-authored with Vice President Lopez and myself. Yes.
Thank you, President Finley, for presenting the first reading of that. Discussion is now in order regarding President Finley's presentation. I will start a speakers list, and if you wish to speak, please raise your hand to be added to the speakers list. Seeing no one, we will move on with the agenda. Thank you, President Finley, for presenting. We will now move on to announcements. Board Commissioner Park, could you go ahead and present the first announcements?
Yes. So we still have some board vacancies. I guess I can maybe more aptly announce a large congratulations to Gio, Josephina, Kenny, there's two other folks, my gosh, Jesus and Max. With that, we do still have some board vacancies to fill. We are looking for a public relations officer to serve coordinating our social media, public relations committee, and in the spring, our elections. The parliamentarian who would serve in this board, helping to keep the board's legislative and parliamentary procedures on point. And then we also have some representative positions left within the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences and the Professional Studies. So you'd be partners with Angelica or Jesus. We also have space for a graduate student representative and one more at-large representative to be teamed up with Montel Floyd. Additionally, I guess these two kind of go hand in hand. Our next meeting is Friday, June 26th at 3 p.m. It's the same Zoom meeting ID, same Zoom link, so we can continue to share these so that everyone can attend the meetings. And next meeting, we will be nominating the vice chair. So Mayuli serves as the chair of this board, and if she were ever to need to be absent, we would want to identify a vice chair who could facilitate the meeting in her absence. If there's any other announcements, I think Mayuli will be taking them.
You could go ahead and raise your hand if you have any extra announcements. The chair recognizes President Finley.
Madam Chair, so one announcement that I really want to make. So for the representatives, I'll be putting together some type of, there was a need in our call for like a meeting for us to have next month or monthly. So we'll be putting together that. So look out for that email that is coming. Since we now have more of you, I think it's more appropriate to start having those on a consistent basis. I guess my second announcement will be, well, no, Montel already covered that one. Never mind. No more announcements.
Thank you, President Finley. Does anyone else have any extra announcements? Seeing none, I would now like to ask if there is a motion on the floor to adjourn this meeting.
I motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, President Finley. President Finley has motion to adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Floyd. We will now move into a vote. Are there any objections or abstentions? Please use the appropriate buttons to display so. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned at 4:37 p.m. Thank you for joining us for our first summer meeting. We will be having our next meeting on June 26th, so I hope you'll be able to join us for that one as well. I hope to see everyone there. And I'd like to congratulate our new board members and welcome you all. And please stay safe, everyone, and thank you for joining us again today.